Well, less than 72 hours after her debut, Ronna McDaniel is out at NBC News. Yes, the former Republican National Committee chair out at the network following massive internal blowback. Just a short time ago, MSNBC's Ari Melber announced the news on his show, reading from an email written by NBC Universal News Group chairman Cesar Conde.
After listening to the legitimate concerns of many of you, I have decided that Ronna McDaniel will not be an NBC News contributor. I want to personally apologize to our team members who felt we let them down. While this was a collective recommendation by some members of our leadership team, I approved it and take full responsibility for it.
And I gotta say, that's a pretty appropriate way for this whole saga to end, with an MSNBC host reading the boss's drippy apology on the air, because many of the network's biggest names went out of their way to denounce the hire and even call out company leadership on the air. And tonight, those executives responded by completely caving in what I think is embarrassing fashion. The pearl-clutching NBC staffers got exactly what they wanted here. And it's just the latest example of something we've seen play out a number of times at left-leaning outlets in recent years, because the Ronna McDaniel fiasco makes clear that at NBC News and at MSNBC, the bosses have been completely marginalized, and the on-air talent is calling the shots. NBC News hosts not only didn't seem to fear any repercussions from the C-suite, they seemed to relish in the chance to undermine their bosses. One by one, they publicly attacked a major personnel decision made by company executives, with some even calling them out directly.
We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it.
NBC News, either wittingly or unwittingly, is teaching election deniers that what they can do stretches well beyond appearing on our air in interviews to peddle lies about the sanctity and integrity of our elections.
The viewers of this platform, what they saw in the hiring of Ronna McDaniel is a decision to bring on board someone who's a liar.
I think our bosses owe you an apology for putting you in this situation. It's unfortunate for this program.
Those jabs and others were delivered throughout the day yesterday on nearly every major MSNBC show, but as you would expect it was Rachel Maddow who ultimately landed the knockout punch.
I want to associate myself with all my colleagues, both at MSNBC and at NBC News, who have voiced loud and principled objections to our company putting on the payroll someone who hasn't just attacked us as journalists, but someone who is part of an ongoing project to get rid of our system of government. The fact that Ms. McDaniel is on the payroll at NBC News, to me, that is inexplicable.
And that was essentially the end of Ronna McDaniel at NBC News. Rachel Maddow makes $30 million a year to host her show one night a week. She wields enormous influence at MSNBC, and along with some of her high-profile colleagues, she seemed to help push Ronna McDaniel out the door. And this uprising at NBC is something we're seeing more and more. Left-leaning journalists demanding that their bosses cater to their political sensibilities. Last night on the show, NewsNation contributor Mick Mulvaney, who served as former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, recalled being run out of CBS after facing a very similar backlash as McDaniel.
I got the exact same reception at CBS. I got pilloried on the Colbert Show when I got hired, and I did not do any of the things that they are accusing her of Ronna McDaniel of doing. It was just that I happened to work for Trump. That's it.
And what about the rebellion inside CNN, which helped oust their president, Chris Licht? CNN staff were furious about Licht's stated mission of making the network nonpartisan. The internal criticism reached a fevered high pitch after Licht dared to televise a town hall with Donald Trump. And that, along with what is a very unflattering magazine profile, proved to be the final straw for Licht at CNN. Now, to reiterate a point that I made last night, it's not entirely fair to compare Ronna McDaniel to someone like Jen Psaki. McDaniel is accused of enabling former President Donald Trump's false claims about the 2020 election, and even during one phone call with Trump and two election officials in Michigan, allegedly exerted pressure on those officials to overturn one county's results, okay? But big picture, if you're excluding Ronna McDaniel, it's hard to imagine that any Republican of consequence over the last 4 years would just be welcomed on your network. And yet still, even after this humiliating affair, The NBC honchos claim they're still on the hunt for that magical unicorn, a Republican pundit that their staff can live with.
We continue to be committed to the principle that we must have diverse viewpoints on our programs, and to that end, we will redouble our efforts to seek voices that represent different parts of the political spectrum.
All right, you know what? I don't want to hear that from Cesar Conde or any of the top other executives at NBC. You just allowed your on-air talent to dictate to you that a Trump-supporting Republican has no place on your network. This idea that the NBC News team is just going to roll out the red carpet for whoever you try to bring in next is a fantasy. The next Ronna McDaniel is going to face just as much pushback. Of course, the next Jen Psaki is sure to receive a gift basket on the way in. I mean, seriously, would it shock anybody if NBC eventually hires White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre? She hasn't exactly proven to be a top-flight spokesperson during her tenure, and her point of view is already well represented at the network, and yet she's exactly the type of person that NBC executives are likely to bring in next, all in an effort to placate the staff. So no, Mr. Conde, I do not want to hear that NBC is interested in different viewpoints. This is what your network is now. More to the point, this is what you've let your employees turn it into.